November 21st, 2019. I'm sure a lot of you were doing exactly what I was, watching your computer screens when Elon unveiled the Cybertruck. He had his chief designer, Franz von Holzhausen, or however it's called. He wore a shirt one size too small to throw the ball out the window, and it broke. And of course, it's an unforgettable moment. But also, the specs were pretty unforgettable because you're going to have 400 or 500 miles of range, $40,000, the base price for the Cybertruck, and it looked like some crazy thing from the future. I love the styling personally. I thought it was amazing. So I immediately, like 2 million other people, put a $100 deposit down, not once, but twice on the Cybertruck, thinking, okay, next year I'll get me a Cybertruck for 40 grand. And well, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 2024, the Cybertruck finally comes to market. It's interesting, 2 years before that, there was the Tesla Roadster that people put $200,000 down to buy, but that still hasn't come out yet. So I consider myself lucky that the car I put $100 down actually showed up. And I feel like the wait to configure wasn't too bad because some people got their trucks at the end of 2023, I think were the first deliveries if they were in Texas and locally. So they were focusing on local, easiest, shortest delivery spaces and giving it to those people. They weren't really giving them out in order. And since Tesla has no dealership network, they didn't really care. It was the most efficient way to get the cars out. So finally, in the ensuing months, I got invited to configure and got my truck around June of 2024. But it was over $100,000, not $40,000. It had 300 miles of range, not 400 or 500, and they had the range extender, which is basically dropping a battery into the back, and that was supposed to add the range to get as advertised, but it gave up the truck bed space. So it was very weird and very, very expensive. So I didn't do that, but I was taking delivery of the Cybertruck. So excited for the YouTube videos and all that, thinking I was kind of late to the party, but still very excited because I personally loved the product, loved the way it looked, loved the idea of it. The steer-by-wire system was very innovative. The way the wiring, of course, the higher voltage and everything, a lot of innovative firsts with the truck, not just the styling. But delivery day was very anticlimactic because I go up and literally a guy half a mile down the street from me is taking delivery at the same time. They're behind making deliveries, and there's one angry customer who is getting a Model 3, I think, that has paint issues, and that is taking up everybody's time, all the delivery people, all the people at Tesla, dealing with one angry customer. So finally, when it comes to my turn, I've been waiting for 2 or 3 hours to take delivery of this truck. They just throw me the keys, which the keys is just a card or configuring it on your phone. And I was off. I had no idea how to work it. I had no idea how to put it in gear, no idea how to really do any of it, but I drove off and just learned as I went and learned very quickly that the range at 300 isn't as advertised because I had to stop and supercharge on the way home. But now I had my Cybertruck and I could start making my videos, which, you know, my usual video thing. I bought the cheapest, well, it wasn't the cheapest. I paid MSRP for the Cybertruck, but felt pretty good because right around, about a month or two before I bought it, the first Cybertruck sale ever was $240,000 for the first one. Flipped from 102 to 240, and I think a Porsche dealer in Florida bought it for that much. The next two, I think a week later, there was 2 of them I sold for about $200,000. So about the time I bought it, they were selling for almost $200,000. So I was feeling pretty good, thinking, okay, I can make YouTube videos for a while and make money, not lose any money. It was a really good car for me as far as making videos. First, of course, the unveil, I bought the Cybertruck. But the one that really went gangbusters was tearing it apart with the Car Wizard, taking the frunk out, really digging into the thing, not really taking it apart all that much, but discovering some interesting engineering and the way that the frunk or behind the frunk is designed and how water and environment just gets in there. There's no secondary like wheel well to really stop all that from getting inside. And not only that, when I ran the windshield washer fluid would just dump into the interior behind there where all the electronics and things were all buzzing. It didn't seem like a very good thing. Also, when the Wizard wanted to check the cabin air filter, Wizard's my mechanic, he broke the tabs, just doing what anybody would do. It wasn't like he was doing anything wrong, just lightly pulling on the tabs. They're so brittle, they just snapped off in your hand on a brand new truck, which is great for me for YouTube when we discover all of this. And I think it's one of my highest grossing YouTube videos as far as AdSense of all time, like over $20,000. This one video made, which is insane. And all the other videos did really well. So I'm very happy in that sense. But very quickly, I discovered that I did not enjoy driving the Cybertruck. First of all, for the attention, because you were an instant celebrity and people were following you home, following you everywhere just to get a look at this thing, which is not an issue nowadays. But also, it was really cumbersome as far as the length of it. And even with the four-wheel steering, it was sort of hard to park. The visibility wasn't all that great. It wasn't that comfortable for a $100,000 car. You have one screen right here. There's no instrument binnacle. There's no like luxury features like a Mercedes S-Class that would cost the same amount of money. You have one screen sort of tacked on. Everything just feels kind of cheap. And then the stainless steel literally is sharp. I did cut myself a couple of times just on the door closing and little things here and there. And of course, there were all the idiots that were putting their hands in the doors and the frunk, and which I guess get your views any way you can, I suppose. Chop your fingers off. Why not? I didn't do it. After the videos, it sort of set in that I didn't want to keep this thing. And then I noticed the prices just plummeting on the Cybertrucks. Most recently, there was a guy who just got his Cybertruck totaled out who paid almost $200,000 for it. But then the insurance value was $80,000, $70,000, $80,000 was what he was going to get. And he still owed, I think, 170 or 80 and had no gap insurance. So I didn't want to get in that situation. So I thought, I need to get out of this Cybertruck as quickly as possible. And I realized the door was rapidly slamming shut for me to be able to get out of this without losing money. So I went around to different dealers. Gimme the VIN was one who's in Texas. He does a big auction with Manheim Wholesale Auction. And he wasn't buying them anymore because of the free fall in prices. This was the first guy to sell them for $240,000, then $200,000. But they were in free fall, and one of his reps, I guess, lost over six figures buying up 10 Cybertrucks from everybody at $150 or something like that, and then lost his butt. So they weren't doing it anymore. The other dealer who was interested in it before decided, we don't really want it anymore except for MSRP, which, okay, MSRP, but I paid sales tax and all that stuff, so it was still losing money. So I started working around, being my own Ed Bullion, trying to work a deal, and finally there was one dealer on the west side, and they were willing to give me $111,000 for it, which is about $10,000 over MSRP, but I had to buy a car from them. I was looking at a 2023 Cadillac Lyriq, which is Cadillac's mid-size electric SUV. And this thing was a debut edition. It was 1 year old. It had 9,000 miles on it. And it was traded in because the original owner got in a minor accident. And they have these beautiful crystal crazy light show grills. And it was a long wait to get that part. It was just kind of cracked or whatever. He decided to trade it in as is and let the dealer fix it. And then he drove off with something else. But the dealer, as they waited 3-4 months for that part, the Lyriq, catastrophic, unbelievable depreciation, as we all know with electric cars now, they were stuck. So they were willing to over-allow on the trade and then sell me this Lyriq that was $60-something thousand new for low 40s. And that had me into the Lyriq, since I paid 101 or 2 for the Cybertruck, into the mid-30s. So that made sense. I felt like if I wanted to sell the Lyriq really quick and didn't like it long term, I could sell it and recoup that way. So did the deal, and the Cybertruck sat at that dealership. First at 140-something thousand, 130, 120, 100, 4 or 5 months later, my Cybertruck was still on the lot. And I was actually able to go back and do another video saying my Cybertruck hasn't sold yet. And so I saw the managers, like the used car manager that bought the car, glaring at me as I was doing this vlog saying, my Cybertruck's still for sale. Look how smart I am. But we actually had a conversation about it when he was trading in. I told him, you need to sell this thing quickly. You can get 115, 120 right now. Don't get greedy, get rid of it, because these things are starting to go down. And he didn't listen and priced it to the moon because that's what his matrix said to do. And he thought he was really going to win something and ended up eating the car. At the last time I saw it advertised for sale, it was at $89,000. So that means the dealer was taking a $20,000 loss. And I don't think they made any money on me with the Lyriq because of the catastrophic depreciation there. So the Lyriq, it seemed like it was going to be a short-term thing, but actually it ended up being a car I've had for almost a year now. April's driving it around. We really like the ride. We like the quality, fit, and finish. It has all the luxury touches that were missing from the Cybertruck, and a better ride and easier to park and all that stuff. A little clunky in the electronics and the controls, obviously a long ways to go from there compared to Tesla and all their nice software, but overall a really nice vehicle. But for whatever reason, I decided that I needed to go back into Tesla. And it's been about 6-7 months since I sold my Cybertruck. And I realized the catastrophic depreciation on electric cars was applying to everything, including the Model S Plaid. So 1,000 horsepower on these things, 0 to 60 in a little over 2 seconds. And it was the fastest accelerating car in the world at the time. And $140,000 new. Now they're 40-something thousand dollars. I found one, no accident history, 58,000 miles for 47 grand, and bought it and thought, this is absolutely amazing. But in that short amount of time, the world has changed with the brand perception, with Tesla, with Cybertruck, and its CEO, Elon Musk, who was laughing years ago at the ball getting thrown at it, happy to be going to space and being a CEO. And now he is the first buddy to Donald Trump and in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and going through doing all of his things. And obviously, half the country likes Trump, half the country hates Trump, and Elon's associated with him. So now 50% of people hate Elon. So when I post this video about buying this amazing depreciated car, 1 out of every 5 comments is about how terrible Elon is, how I bought a swastika car, how horrible I am for supporting Tesla and Elon for his evilness, which I had no idea, and I bought it used from an independent dealer. So now I'm feeling the peer pressure to sell this car that I actually kind of like, that makes sense to own because of how fun it is to drive, how fast, how smooth. It still has all the things I liked tech-wise about my Tesla, the latest autopilot. But now I'm being compared to Nazis and stuff. So I don't know what to do.
Successful car purchasing is all about knowing your buying power and being able to move quickly. And the best way to do that is getting pre-qualified with Premier Financial Services. Call one of these numbers, speak to one of their representatives, fill out their application, and then you'll know exactly how much car you can buy. You'll approach a seller, tell them you're already qualified, you've got your simple lease set up from Premier Financial, and you'll be able to close very, very quickly. That's why Premier is one of the most powerful partners in the world of exotic car financing, and that's why I turn to them every time I go out and try to buy something crazy.